with a blog to watch weekly. We will see what happens here. This could be interesting. It could be a disaster, but I'm sure we will have some laughs no matter what happens along the way. I am not going to spend time introducing everybody to you. You can do that in the chat if you've got any questions. I'm sure they'll give them. Each of them will give our own wee account of themselves as we go along. We're going to play a game. This is going to be about reviewing all of the best watches so far of 2024 and some mentions for some of the worst watches. So what's going to happen is each person's going to get a chance to pitch their favorite watch so far of the year, and then the others are going to vote on whether they agree with that. The catch is, and they've got, because there's going to be 7 people presenting, well, 8 people, but only 7 votes at any one time because I don't get a vote. I'll be like the vice president. If there's a tie, I'll get the casting vote. Then you're only allowed to use each number once. So that's the catch. So you've got to predict whether you think there may be a better watch coming along, or if there's not, because you could end up giving your 7 because it's the only number you've got left at the end of the show. So that's what you're going to play with. But we're going to go over to our first watch of the year so far contender, and that is going to be brought to us by Dave, who is going to do his very best to lean back while he presents this. I'll share it to the screen, and this is the Tudor Black Bay Chrono pink dial watch. So, David, tell us why this is the watch of the year so far and deserves 7 points from all of your fellow watch nerds on the call.
So, okay, so we have to give a high figure or high amount to something we like. So the number one watch gets a 7. Okay, that's
the number one watch
all
gets
right.
a 7. Yes, the higher the better.
That's good
Yeah,
to
I
know.
realize that most of us are making these rules up as we go along, and you've only heard these rules
Yeah,
about 20 seconds ago. So, good effort so far.
right. Well, I mean, it's the Tudor Black Bay Chrono with a pink dial, and the reason why I chose this is not because there are not many other amazing watches from 2024 so far, but because this exemplifies what I want to see from other brands. It's a playful take that throws into wind a bit of caution that a lot of these big brands are known for. And as far as I understand, it's done really well for Tudor. I quite like this approach. The choice of colors and options on more or less staple watch. It's well priced, and it's a sort of an outlandish take on something that we have seen up to this point a few too many times. So this is why I like it. I like the approach, not just the watch.
Okay, so you've heard David's 60-second pitch for this. Ripley, you're first on my screen. What are you going to give this between a 1 and a 7, and why?
Oof. I'm gonna go with a solid 3. So,
Solid 3.
yeah, for me, this one, I agree with largely everything what David said, but just dial color variations of watches that have more or less existed for years isn't exactly the thing that really I would classify as best, although from a price point perspective, it is rather compelling. But I've got to reserve the higher numbers for something later down the field.
Oh, so already playing the first man out, and he's already playing tactically. So Ripley's giving it a 3. Phil, good evening. Welcome to the show. This is the first time we've had you on, despite many calls and conversations in the past. But tell us, what do you think of Tudor? What do you think of David's presentation? Give that a vote while you're at it.
Well, David's presentation was superlative.
That's a different show.
It was astounding.
Thank you.
Astounding, and I'm going to play it back in my head many times because it's just so fantastic. Well done. But the watch
Much
itself,
appreciated.
the watch itself, it's okay. I do like pink dial watches. I'm not a massive fan of the Tudor Black Bay, but it's okay. I like the fact that it kept the black subdials. It's okay. It's a fairly good piece.
And your vote is going to be?
My vote is going to be a 3.
A 3, another 3. Now remember, gentlemen, you now must dispose of your 3s. You can't use them again in this show. Simon, you're up next. Do real men wear pink?
Well, they do. But I am coming in on this one, maybe surprisingly, because I'm a big Tudor fan. But I'm coming in with a lovely 2 on this.
2. Oh, David, you're just... David, you want another go at presenting? You're just clearly not
Not
convincing.
the direction I was hoping for. Let's go upwards from 3, not down.
No. David's presentation was great, but let me tell you what I think the problem is for me with this watch. So I've got this in the steel and gold variety, the original with the black dial and the champagne subdials, and I love it. I haven't got it on bracelet. I've got it on the leather strap. I was wearing it yesterday, actually. The dial color, though, the shade of pink that they've gone for on this one, just jars with me a little bit, and I can't really quite put my finger on why, but it's a little bit too red, if that makes sense. If it was just paler and a little bit more subtle, I think it would work a lot better for me, but it just feels a little bit too blancmange, and that's kind of what I see when I look at this dial.
So too much Scotsman sunburnt and not enough marshmallow colour.
Now you've ruined it.
Yeah.
That's it. Can't unsee another one of those hashtags.
Give it a 1
Can't
from now
unsee.
on.
Give it a 1 from now on. It resembles the colour of a sunburnt Scotsman.
Oh
Azad,
my goodness.
what do you think?
I'm not sure there's anything more I can say. That it is pretty much a derivative of another model. I think there have been some improvements on the bracelet and the clasp, possibly, but I mean, not enough for me to put it right up there as watch of the year. So I'm going to give it a 2.
A 2. David, it's as well you're leaving the show early this evening with your tail between your legs. It's a very disappointing start, but we'll see what Kevin thinks. I think Kevin might do you a favour, give you a bit of a higher vote. No? Yes, Kevin?
Absolutely
you-
not. I'm sorry to say, David. As I said, there isn't that much more anybody hasn't mentioned. It's a pink dial straight from straight from the catalogue, just slaps a different colour on it, and that's a date window which isn't colour matched. Something else I don't like about it. It's an okay watch. The bracelet's supposed to be brilliant, but sorry, David, it's another 2.
Another 2. Oh dear.
Well, at least we're consistent.
At least you're consistent.
Yes.
David, do you want another shot just to boost this for Nick and Leslie's
No.
final votes?
The irony is that I saw this watch hands-on, and I was really hooked on it when I saw it launch, and I couldn't wait to go hands-on with it, and I thought I will buy it, and when I saw it hands-on, I decided not to buy it because I didn't like the shade of pink. The reason why I chose it is the attitude or the approach to, and this is why it's derivative. My point would not be valid on a new watch. That's why I chose it, because I quite like the approach here.
So David, a fan of the derivative. That's his hashtag from now on. Nick, welcome
Yes.
to the show. How are you
Hiya.
voting and why?
So I don't want to seem like I'm following a trend here, but I did grab this number immediately. I am going with 2.
A 2.
Hedge my bets. I didn't want to go for a 1. It's not the.
There's always a worse watch out there.
Exactly. I
The
didn't
worst
wanna
best
go-
watch.
So it's not the actual pink. I don't mind pink. It's not the dial color for me. It's the watch itself. I've never really been a massive fan of the chrono. I don't like the snowflake hand for the chrono in this iteration. But yeah, I mean, as Simon said, I do think the actual steel and gold one's probably the only one that I'd actually ever consider. And I really don't like chronos with screw down pushers, but. Yeah.
Yes, I always find I don't know whether you screw them in or out. It's weird sometimes.
Yeah.
As to whether
You just never really use it, do you?
You just never
You can take
use
it in
Really
turns.
practical.
Take it in turns. Leslie, are you going to be a kind Irishman and rescue David from this oblivion? It's not vintage. Maybe that helps. Oh, Leslie, you're muted. You lose 1 point later on in the show for the first speaking while muted. No, still muted. You're losing points as we go along here. Let me see if I can sort it from this angle. No, Leslie.
Whatever
you're
he
not-
recommends is best just gets demoted.
Leslie has resigned himself and saved David from a lesser vote. I'm sure of that.
Thanks.
Right, okay. Let's let Leslie back in very quickly. See if he's got audio.
How's that?
Yes, that's better. Is it good enough to give David a higher mark than a
I,
3?
I,
It's current
yeah,
highest?
I actually considered this watch myself. I like it. I'm going to go.
Woo! There's hope, David.
I have got 2 ties that would match
Yes.
this watch, believe it or not. But I'm not going very high. I'm going to go 4 and just get, but it's a little bit better.
A little bit better. That's good. Now, make sure, gentlemen, you've
Amazing, thank you.
destroyed. Make sure you've destroyed the numbers that you've spoken of. I don't want to be catching you at the end. Okay, next up, and if you're in the chat and listening to this, then feel free to cast your own votes. But again, you can only use it once. Not that I'm going to be able to check that. Next up, however, is going to be Kevin. And Kevin, let me stop sharing this Tudor picture and see if I can share Kevin's watch, which is hopefully the correct one from what he sent me. Kevin's watch is this.
Oh.
Audemars Piguet.
Come
I
on.
can see this.
Come on.
The
I knew there would be an
tribute-
AP here.
Tribute to a
And it's the
timepiece
right
from
AP.
1960. Limited edition. What is this watch actually called? It's just the remaster self-winding with
Remaster
square
2.
brackets. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the remaster 2. Kevin, justify yourself.
Oh, I mean, just look at it. It's stunning. It's everybody goes on about AP not doing anything apart from the Royal Oak or the Code 1159, which everybody hates. This is something totally different, totally out of left field, and it proves that AP are one of the best watchmakers and watch designs, ever. I mean, this is based on a watch which was originally produced in 1961. Okay, only 7 were made, but now they've upped the numbers to 250. It's a limited edition. The color of the gold is unique as well. They call it sand gold, which is 70% gold, 20% copper, and 5% palladium. It's a stunning shade. It goes from grey to silver to rose gold in different lights. It's amazing. It's that crystal, that sapphire sapphire on top of it is took 2 years to design and make. There's lots of individual facets on the dial. It's 12 individual sections which are fixed to the base brass base plate. It's incredible. It shows that they can do other things apart from Royal Oak, and I love it. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Ripley has some doubts, but we'll
Oh
see.
no, Ripley! No.
Kevin, what are we doing with that section there? Is that to store things? Is that like a little pillbox of sorts?
Yeah, I mean
Exactly.
the movement's based on the Royal Oak Jumbo, so they've had to elongate the column wheel or the column to get to the crown. So yeah, I mean it is.
It looks like stuff should flow out the side there. Just disappear like a
Shocking.
waterfall or something. But,
That's
right,
loads.
I am not to judge. Let's vote. Leslie's coming back in for the 4th time. Not quite sure why. Okay, first up then on my screen, Ripley. Give us a vote. Higher or lower than a 3 from last year.
That's a solid 4.
We're getting the big numbers are now out.
Yeah, I think it's certainly more original than the Tudor. I have to commend anything from AP that isn't a Royal Oak or Royal Oak adjacent. Sand gold's a lovely material. But honestly, though, it can't score top marks because of just how that was implemented. If you're going to make that not do a bespoke main plate for the movement, at least like decorate that area or something. But that's just seems like so half-assed on what's otherwise a very, very lovely watch that it's a kind of middle of the pack for me. But I do really like the watch itself.
Oh, you're just being picky now.
Well, I mean, at this price point, you can be picky.
Yeah,
If this was $10,000 or $20,000 even, it'd be a different discussion. But what is the price point of this?
43,000 sterling, roughly.
Yeah.
Right, that's
Ripley,
categorically different purchase.
Yeah.
Ripley, for some reason, you've
a point.
got.
I'll let you have that one, Ripley. Yeah.
Okay, so Ripley gives it a 4. Ripley, you've got a crackle on your line for some reason. I'm not sure why. It might just be where stuff's being placed or whatever. Right, next up then is Phil. You gave David a 3. What are you giving Kevin?
Well, Kevin,
He is an Arsenal fan.
Kevin, are you an Arsenal fan? Right, 15. I'm going to give you.
How can you
man,
two?
top
How can
man.
you two exist in the watch world together and not know that each other are Arsenal fans? But there we go.
Well, Kevin,
Anyway.
Arsenal to one side, you've absolutely smashed it. I very nearly chose this watch myself. So
Oh, there you go.
give you a nice
Oh,
big pat
Mhm.
six.
thank
Giving
you.
it a 6. Giving it a 6. Good stuff.
Put that to one side. I think it's brilliant. I love the shape of it. I love the fact that AP normally only do the same trick over and over again, and they've done this. It's so different. It looks like, I don't know, it looks like a render that's gone slightly wrong. I just love things that are a bit different. You know, at least you can't see the stem. Well, you can in that picture there, but it's the only thing that puts me off. Having broken many stems over the years as I'm fiddling about with watches, that's the only thing that puts me off. The thought of how much fun that stem would be to try and resize to get back in. But it's a fantastic piece. It's really interesting. It's different. It would be a conversation starter. What's not to love? Kevin, you smashed it.
Kevin's smashing it. Simon, your turn.
Okay, so I'm giving this one a 4.
A 4. Okay.
4 and
Justify yourself.
Okay, yeah, it's. I'm saving some of the high numbers because I think there might be some, things coming up that I prefer more. But I think this is a really interesting, valiant effort from AP, and I think Kevin, it's a great shout from you. I love kind of 60s, 70s design. I think it's right out of that era. That as much as you lot all seem to hate Monaco, I love that, and this kind of gives me Monaco vibes.
Specifically, I hate the Monaco. Just let's be honest.
Yeah,
It's me
okay,
that doesn't like it.
I mean, this is a little bit like a Monaco that's kind of slipped to one side, but maybe it's if you're going too fast around a corner, maybe that's what happens. But I think great shout. It's just quirky. It's different. I really like it. Kudos to AP for doing it, but there are elements of it that I do find a little bit odd, and that little kind of vent or whatever it is at the side is one of them. So yeah, it's doesn't get my ultimate vote for watch of the year, but it's a very, very good option.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Azad, where are you on this from AP?
Yeah, I'm a
Higher
fan
or
of
lower
the
than your previous two?
higher. I'm a fan of the quirky design. I mean, it's not a perfect watch. I mean, that shot there explains everything you need to know. So I'm going to be quick and give it a 5.
A 5. If it turns out that the first episode of this show we give AP the prize, then there's only ever going to be one episode of this show. Can I just say that for a fact? Kevin, how'd you vote? Oh no, it was your watch. You don't get a vote, David.
I can vote. Please let me vote.
No, hold on a second. I've just realised I've written this down wrong. So next up to vote is Nick.
I was contemplating the 1, but I think it's still too early. I'm going to go with a 3. I just don't particularly. I'm not. It's not the asymmetric case. I quite like that, but I just think the asymmetric case is quite quirky. But then having the actual hand stack in the center of the dial, making it look like a completely regular watch, almost makes the asymmetric case a little bit pointless. If it was shifted over and you could actually read the time popping out of the cuff, I think it would look a lot nicer, personally. So yeah, that's why I'm going with a 3.
Good stuff. Well, Darren in the chat is suggesting that this is for the dumpster. Leslie, dumpster
Right.
fire for
I'm
your
having-
watch.
Yeah, so the way does it? Okay, so I like this. Can compare this to a pub, a good pub. Like it's a good, straightforward pub, but it's got a snug, right?
All right.
It's got a secret room just on the side that you can kind of sneak into, and I don't know, have secret liaisons with. Yeah, it's a watch with the snug. So I can't criticize a watch with the snug. And so I'm gonna go 5 on this. I consider this as one of my watches of the year as well.
Yeah, some of the big guns are out. Now, David, you're the first one that gets to vote, having had your watch voted against. So the question is, are you going to vote for this watch what you think, or are you going to try and banjax Kevin's current high score by giving it a 1? How honest are you playing this game?
I mean, this is not an ego game. It's a watch merit based game. But the shocking irony is that I consider this as my suggestion for the worst watch of the year.
That's
For
what
real,
we hear.
Oh no!
it's shocking in so many different ways. I calculated this in my article because I happen to have written this. AP wants
Yeah.
to make 250 of these, which is $11.8 million for this project. And kudos to the case designer and both the original and whoever revamped this and the manufacturer of the case. It really is a gorgeous execution. But the rest, that winding stem, the integration, everything else, it's the antithesis of what I look for in a watch. They took something from their past. Again, they want to do something that is not the Royal Oak, and yet they go and remaster something that they have already done. How is this exercise not typical AP? We've seen Parmigiani do the pantograph where the shape of the hand or the length of the hand follows the odd shape of a dial. There's real engineering there. Here, it's a two-hand watch with zero functionality or integration of the design. Beautiful case. If this were a Tissot with the exact same design, nobody could tell.
Oh my
And I just seriously, I mean, for some reason, I'm really, I just get rammed up by this watch. Whatever. So I have to give it a 1 because my guess is that no other watch out of the rest will have me worked up as much as this one does. But my thoughts are already on the internet, so you can read the rest there. So it gets a 1 from me just because it's not my cup of
Good
tea at all.
stuff. Good stuff.
Sorry,
well,
Gavin.
let's see if this next, and it's going to be Simon's turn to tell us all about it. And Simon's watch of the year so far is this from Christopher Ward, the 12 in titanium. Justify yourself, young man.
The 12X, yeah. Okay, so the 12 case and bracelet, I think, is a great platform to start with. I think they've done something really cool here by skeletonizing it. They've used the SH21 movement, which has got 5-day power reserve. I think is a pretty killer movement, actually. And at the price point it's at, I think the finishing is, probably better than average, let's say. Yeah, it's not horology, okay, that's fine. But I think this is a really well-executed skeletonized watch. I think it's perfect case, perfect bracelet. I just love it, and I think it is at a great price point too. However, it did get a lot of heat, didn't it?
Let's see how much heat it's
What's
going
the price
to get.
on this?
The price
I think
on
in
this
pound sterling was
is-
about 3,500. I think. No, sorry, 3,150.
We'll scroll to the bottom where the prices normally lurk at a blog to watch. 48.65 USD on the bracelet, I assume, and 44.95 on what I assume is not a bracelet. What's the price difference for? Can't actually tell. Yeah, bracelet, rubber strap. That's what it is. There's no picture of the rubber strap. They didn't see fit clearly to send us that. So Ripley, you have some numbers left. You've used your 3 and your 4, so you've either
5.
got to go up. Oh, we're going up the way. Why is it a 5?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very compelling watch. Obviously, this style is one we've seen before, but that can be said about any kind of integrated bracelet watch. That said, the way they've done it, I think it's a pretty good-looking skeleton movement. It's not just a generic caliber. The price point is really fair for what it is. Love that lume ring, and it is attainable and still offering something that feels very horological. So you got to give it marks for that. I don't know if it's the best release of the year or the second best, but I got to score it pretty high.
So it gets high score from Ripley, who is still crinkling away. I don't know if it's worth you logging off and back on again to see if it clears that Ripley. But while we decide if you're doing that, Phil, do you want to give us you've used a 3 and a 6. Are you going in the middle? Are you going higher, lower?
Who knows?
You live
Who
near
knows?
Christopher Ward.
Well,
You'll have
I
that
don't
neck
believe
of the
Simon's an
woods.
Arsenal fan, so that takes a few points away. I like Christopher Ward. I don't like this watch. I disagree with other guys. This skeletonization of this movement leaves me dead. It's just it's not good looking enough movement. I don't think the finishing's good enough. If you're going to do that much skeletonization, I think it needs a lot more finishing. So I'm afraid I'm just going to give it a 2.
It's going for a 2. Azad, what do you think? You've still got some high numbers and some low numbers.
Okay, so I'm a big fan of Christopher Ward, despite them sponsoring Everton, and I'm a Liverpool fan, so that's a big no-no that has been recently. And
I should add, because I keep on forgetting to do this, there is actually in a blog to watch Fantasy Premier League. If anyone plays that and wants an invite, then get in touch. I don't know if Phil, Kevin, you're into that sort of thing. Omer's currently in lead, I think. So if you are interested, then feel free to tap us up for the code. Sorry, Azad, go on.
And I do own one of the titanium, the blue Fume titanium 12s. For me,
I love the fact that despite no warning that this was coming up, Azad can lay his hands on that watch.
It's on my desk
instantaneously around him.
So for me, I don't think putting their existing in-house movement, albeit all the skeletonization that's been done to it, warrants tripling the price versus the models that are already there. And yes, the finishing looks good. The movement looks okay. It's not particularly symmetrical. It's not a great looking movement, to be honest, when you look at it. There was a lot of comparisons being made to, for example, Zenith Defy movements that have also done quite a lot of skeletonizations, and frankly, they look a lot better than this. So for me, it's going to go and get a pretty low score, I'm afraid. I am going to give it my 1.
It gets a 1 from Azad. Kevin, how are you voting?
Wow. I'm a big fan of the 12. Unfortunately, I don't have one at the moment, but I am planning on getting one at some point very soon. I am torn. Purely because of the skeletonization and the cost of that skeletonization. I agree with Azad. It's a price issue for me. I mean, I know that there's a lot of finishing and it looks okay-ish from what I can see. I haven't had one in the hand yet, but I love the 12. It's a great concept. The movement's great. I'm just thinking of the cost, and I'm what do I give it? I'm going to give it. Sorry.
Oh,
just this particular model, the 12 would get a 7. This one gets a 3.
Getting a 3. Okay, Nick, it's over to you. It's a bit of a variation of score lines for this one.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of along with Azad, but the opposite, I would say, it kind of does remind me of the Defy. I'm not a big skeleton watch fan, but the previous generation blue ceramic Defy, I love that watch. So it kind of gives me a little bit of a hint of that. Yeah, and I do like the direction that Christopher Ward's going in, being a little bit more innovative and sort of stepping up a little bit with some of their models. I think it's quite nice. I'm not the biggest fan of the 12, but I do think this one's quite a nice version of it. So I'm going to go with a 5.
A 5 from Nick. The scores are mounting up. Darren in the chat reckons it's a bit too similar to the Zenith Defy of the same version for only half the price. Leslie, if you unmute yourself and tell us what you think. Nope. We'll skip past Leslie just now because we can't hear him. David has also left the building. Leslie's back.
I was muted because I was using my phone to search for something and I spoke into it. Sorry. I hate that in a minute. I hate the skeletonization. Christopher Ward sounds like a car dealership in Tunbridge Wells. It's just a terrible name. If I had to go Christopher Ward, I'd go Belcanto because I thought that was quite good. But this is my 1. Sorry.
This is your 1, right? Okay. Now David has left the building, so I think I need to use David's cards here now. but I can't work out what he's left, so I'll not bother. Right, next up, I'll make it up at the end of the show. Next up, we're going to go to Azad.
So if David doesn't vote, everyone from this point forward is going to get a handicap of some sort because there's just going to be less points total.
Because
which I guess is fine because my watch is awesome.
Because integrity of the rules is what this show is all about.
That means I've won already because I'm sure they've got the most points.
I'm sure that this will be just like that. What's the TV show? Have I got news for you? The other one, where I'll just award a number of points. I'll just declare who the winner is at the end, and you'll have, unless you want to decide to write all this down, then you've no idea what's going on, frankly. Anyway, Phil is in fact being the Arsenal fan and writing everything down to complain to the referee at the end. Right, Azad is on this. I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't know if that means it should lose points already. But the Colloquium actually it loses points because it uses project and puts a random K in there for no good reason, although it's probably not English. That's probably why. Azad, tell us about this watch.
Well, the name I'm sure is memorable, right? So that'll keep it going. I said I really like this watch. It's quirky. It's incredibly different and really stands out from what's out there at the moment. Big fan of the kind of very brutalist design language that they've decided to use. Clearly a bunch of engineers that decided to attack this and come up with this idea. The 468 hand-applied pins, all loomed, look absolutely phenomenal once they we should get a video there. Look, they look phenomenal when loomed up and they come into the light. I think for me it's mostly the design. The case looks really interesting as well. 38.5 mil, I think, is a pretty good size. Only 11 mil thick, with a pretty good La Juperay movement in there. 68 power reserve. It has sold out, which is unfortunate. I'm hoping they're going to do another run. But under 3,000 Swiss franc, I think that this is great and something that will really stand out in a collection.
Yeah, it's certainly an impressive looking thing, but does anybody else agree that it's worthy of a high vote? Ripley, you're up first on this one. What are you giving it? You're giving it a 6. Some of the big guns are out. Oh, David has just WhatsApping his vote for the Christopher Ward. He's giving it a 5. So there we go. We might manage to keep some integrity in the scoring system. You never know. So Ripley, why is it a 6? Why is it that good?
I mean, at this price point, again, there's kind of two approaches to how you'd evaluate a best release. It's something that realistically someone could buy, or it's blank check. You could just have anyone watch and keep it. No, don't, resale value is not a thing, but like, anything you wanted basically that came out this year. But on taking the prior approach, this is a really compelling thing that offers something truly unique from a design perspective for not that much money. And while you'd think it would be totally illegible, it actually is quite easy to read. I think it's a really cool watch. Is it the best of the year? Probably not, but I'm just going to give it a high mark because the other two numbers I have are quite low.
Good stuff. That's the jeopardy of this game. Phil, how are you? What's your contemplations on this?
Well, I absolutely love it, so I'm going to chuck it a 7. I'll say that up front.
Oh, Phil's chucking it a 7. Interesting times.
I love the crown. I love the hands. I love the way. I love the loom. It's amazing in the dark. I'd want to just turn the lights off all the time. If I had this, I think it's very, very different. It's a great piece. It's different. I like different watches. You may have noticed. And this is cool.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Simon, is this too different for you? Does a Christopher Ward man really vote for this?
I'm really torn over this. Really torn over this.
Interesting times.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go middle ground. I'm going to go with the 3.
Chickening out.
Yeah.
Simon chickens out with a 3. Why such a non-middle of the road watch getting a middle of the road vote from you?
Just checking that I haven't used my 3 already. But it might be.
You haven't. Both me,
Yeah,
I will keep you right, but also VAR Phil will also keep you right, which seems to be the role that he's currently playing. That's his
yeah,
new
I think with
nickname.
this one, I think I like the fact that they're trying to do something really different, and it is really different, and I think that's partly why it gets the votes for me. It does, but different isn't always better, and there's just something that's too jarring about this watch for me, and I don't know whether I think it's to do with the hands, and I'm also not a big fan of the case either. I can't. It's really hard to explain, really hard to put into words, but I think it's the hands that just ruin it for me. I can't see past that.
Okay, the second hand does look reminiscent of something, but I'm not quite sure what it's reminiscent of yet. It'll come to me. Azad, how you voting? Still
It's
got
my
some
watch.
big gun numbers
his
there.
watch.
Oh, it's your watch. It's your watch. Yes, I've forgotten to score. I forgot. Look at VAR. Assistant referee dives in there to say it. So, Kevin, you're up.
It's unfortunately a good watch. I'm still think
Unfortunately,
that
good watch.
the AP is a better watch, but it's not going to win. This is something different. I do like it very much. I mean, it's a great price point. The case looks very, very interesting, and the fact that the dial looms up is incredible. There's not much more to say really. Just torn. I'm begrudgingly going to give it. I still think the AP is a better watch, but a 6.
A 6. A 6. Okay, Nick, your numbers are up. What do you reckon? It's quite a high scoring watch. This is, it's given Kevin's a bit of a run for the money at the moment.
I'm going to upset the scores. I'm sorry. I'm going to give it a 1.
Way, that's what I like.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of disagree with everything that was said. Really, I think the sort of 3D element to the dial is pretty cool. That's not really been done before, but I think in terms of its overall look, I don't think it's very original at all. I think it looks like something Ming would have made. That's what it reminds me of, and I'm not a fan of Ming's aesthetic and this kind of very modern kind of looking watch. So yeah, I would give it a 1. And yeah, I do think the hands are pretty terrible. Is it very thick as well? 'Cause it does look quite thick.
I don't know if we can tell if there's any
Under 11
dimensions on this.
Oh, okay.
Let's have a look and see. Yeah, it's a
Says
38. It is a 38 mil watch, so it is quite a small watch, even though it's maybe quite narrow. It's was it 468 hand applied pins? What's that movie with pin face in it? Is that Hellraiser?
Hellraiser.
Yeah, there you go. It's a bit like that. That'd be a good nickname for a watch.
Yeah.
There we go. Right, Leslie, it's your turn.
I don't like the hands. It's very cool. But I'm hovering between 3 and 6. I'm going to go 3. It looks like a shepherd's crook or a bottle opener.
Yeah. It's a bottle. Yes, it's the bottle opener. Yeah, that's what it is.
I think it's a bottle opener.
Trust you, a man of alcohol, to have noticed that. Well, David has texted in. David has faxed his answer through, and he's giving it a 6. No idea why, but he's not here to justify himself. So we'll keep playing with that. Okay, we'll stop sharing this. Next up is Leslie. And Leslie has brought us this as his watch nomination for Watch of the Year so far. And it is this number from Chapek, a Chapek Promenade Gout. Is that Gout dough?
Good dough, which means drops of water. So those are the drops of water. You see it. It's hypnotic.
I see. Says a blind man.
Look, there's a gorgeous movement. It's 38 millimeters. It's 20 grand. So okay, it's not cheap, but it's within the bounds of kind of imagination. You can imagine, in the divorce settlement, you'd probably get 20 grand. You could spend it on that to cheer yourself up, And there's some nice guilloche they're doing. The movement is gorgeous. It's 10 millimeters thick. This is the watch that lingered with me from Watches and Wonders this year.
Okay, it's a very pretty thing, but is it pretty enough to get some votes? Okay, Ripley, let's see what your audio is
So
like.
how much was the price of this one again? It's
20.
going to be either high or low. Okay, so
This is
For a steel
I mean,
case, right?
so this is I'm giving it a 2, and this is where it gets hard. This is where you either have to start killing the ones you love or rewarding the ones you hate at the end. And at the end of the day, I think you have to reward the ones you hate at the end more than giving the ones you love. So I really like this watch. The price point's very reasonable for what it is. Everything that Leslie said is true. But at this point, the only alternatives I have are a 1 and a 7. And I don't think it's the
Yeah.
best. It's certainly not the worst, but I would love to have this watch. I think it's a gorgeous piece. Great movement. I not speaking to the reliability context, but just as an object of beauty and something that's very striking while being minimalist, I think it's great. It's an awesome watch. I have to score it low just because of how this game is falling out for me at the end, but that's not really reflective of my true feelings.
Yeah, that's the jeopardy of the game. You gotta play the game. Matt and Jim in the chat, I think, are talking about the previous watch when they say one of them says it's a unique design, gives it a 6. The other says it reminds them of an executive toy from a 1980s desk. The wee pins on it, which yes, does very much ring true. Phil, give us your assessment of the Chapek.
I like the Chapek. I'm never quite sure how to say the name, which is a bit of a detriment to me because I do like to pronounce things.
Patek Junior.
It's a lovely watch. That one that's on screen now, I don't like as much, but the blue one with the ripple, I think is an absolutely beautiful dial. A lovely blue. It suits the bracelet, suits the polished steel case. So I'm going to give it a 4.
4. Simon, quickly from you. What do you think?
Ooh, I'm going to go 5 on this.
5.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty gorgeous watch. It's not entirely my thing, and I'm not actually a big fan of that blue ripple dial. But the other dial executions I really like. So I think that's why it's that's why it's getting.
I'm the total opposite. I only like the blue ripple dial. The other ones are told I'd have given it the 1. The ripple dial is what makes it for me. Yeah,
that's interesting, isn't it? How things can just be so different to different people.
There we go. Right, Azad, how are you voting?
So that ripple dial looks flat, very flat. It looks printed on rather than the other one, which is more engraved. So I do prefer the other one rather than this ripple one. But okay, I think it's too expensive for what it is, in my opinion. But anyway, so I'm going to give it a 4.
A 4 from Azad. Kevin, pass some judgment.
Sorry. This was one of that blue dial is stunning. I do love it, and I did look at this as my particular choice. So reluctantly, I have to give it a 5.
Ooh, reluctantly 5.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm running out of numbers.
How interesting! Yes, this is where the trouble starts to occur. This is where it starts to get a bit scary. Right, Nick, over to you.
I'm going to go with a 4. I do quite like it. The blue ripple dial is definitely my favourite. I'd actually kind of hope that the dial is flat because I think that would just be a testament to how good the dial looks because of how 3-dimensional it looks. But yeah, it's kind of it would worry me to read the time on it, especially after a few drinks, because it looks like something you'd fall into. In all honesty, like you're falling.
Yes, you'd wonder who was moving. Are you moving? Is the world moving? What's actually going on here? Good stuff, right, David? I did ask David there. Let me see. How did he vote? He gave it a 2. He gave it a bit of a panning. So there we go. Right, next up then is going to be Nick. Okay, Nicholas, you are looking and you have given us this. The Fears. Just zoom out a bit. Oh, that's not the best website. The Fears Brunswick. Is this technically called a salmon dial? Was it mother of pearl salmon or something? The orchid.
It's orchid, yeah. Just a pink mother of pearl.
The orchid dial. Tell us about it and why you think it justifies a high vote from your colleagues.
So I've always quite liked the Fears Brunswick. I just think the case is very nice. The thinness of it, I think it's a very elegant looking watch. And personally, I don't own many dress watches. I'm mainly a kind of sports watch kind of guy. And I'm only actually wearing my only dress watch, my Santos Galbay, and because I like that watch so much, I'd like to add something similar-ish, and I just think it's beautiful. I think the the Cherry Blossom Grand Seiko is one that gets a lot of credit, but I think this personally, this dial is a lot better execution of a kind of pink, silvery, shimmering dial.
A pink, silvery, shimmering dial Ripley. Does this float your boat?
It does, but all these are great watches. I'm giving it a 1. So again, I have 2 numbers left. It's either 1 or a 7. I either have to kill. It's a great watch. I agree with everything Nick said. It's and I like the brand. I like the model. The mother of pearl dials and the material dials, they do always come out very, very nice, and everything's always executed beautifully on them. But for me, dial variations, I can't really give it, the total top spot for this year. And if I had to absolutely kill one of the ones I like, I felt like this is a simple one. But I think the thing to remember is they're all really solid watches, and we'd be happy to own any of them. But I have to be strategic, and I can't give it the best watch of the year, and that's the only other number I have. So next one will be interesting for me.
It's getting it's getting complicated. It's getting complicated. Phil, how are you voting on this?
Well, like Ripley, I've only got a 1 or a 5 left. And I like Fears. I love the brand. I think Nicholas Bowman Scargill was just an amazing guy. I love so many of the Fears watches, so it's going to get a 5 from me. I think
Getting a 5.
I think the mother of pearl dial is very nice. It's very nice to see one that's sort of pink. Was it pink shimmering? Did we describe it as? That's very nice. And the case is nice. I love the crown as well. Just it's just lovely.
Good stuff. Simon, you're a man trying to make a British watch. What do you think of this company that's making a British watch?
Well, it's getting a 6 from me. Fears are really growing on me. I've taken a while to warm into them, but I think that some of the more recent releases just seem to be getting better and better. It feels to me, and I think that people who have been long-term Fears fans are probably going to hate me for saying this, but for me, they feel like they're starting to really get into their groove now, or have done, let's say, over the last kind of 12 to 18 months. Some of the earlier models I've seen before just haven't really been my cup of tea. It's fun, but this one I really like. I don't think it's my watch of the year, so I'm reserving what I've got left. Now, after this, I've only got a 7 or a 1. So,
and
so
I know what 2 watches are left, so it'll be a question as to which order I put them in. It's between Phil and Ripley.
Show the wrist shot bracelet, because that might help my votes a bit more. I think it looks way better on the bracelet.
On the bracelet, that's that one. The website doesn't lend itself to being shared, unfortunately. But there we go. So that's because it won't let you zoom out, and it won't let. Oh no, there you go. That's a bit better. It does this funny. Yeah, there we go. It doesn't have a play function. But so Azad, what do you think?
I really like it. I think they have certainly stepped up quite a bit in recent years. Quite sad that I picked up the blue 40mm version just before they released the blue mother of pearl dial, which I would have gone for. And especially since they've introduced the bracelets as well, I think that's really helped move these pieces to collectors. So I'm going to give it a pretty good score of a 6.
Pretty good 6. It's doing well. I wonder if we need to send, if whoever wins, we should maybe send, I don't know what we'd send them. Our hearty congratulations, a letter signed by us all saying you won, congratulations. Get the auto pen out. Kevin, what do you think?
Wow. I was fortunate enough to see this, a pre-production model of this, and I loved it then. I love it now. I'm a big fan of ears, and I've got my custom here, which I've had for 2 years now. Custom, it's beautiful. I love Nicholas. what can I say? They're going from strength to strength, and they are one of the best brands in the world. Certainly one of the best British brands. They are representing Britain at the moment over in New York or Chicago or
Mhm.
wherever, and they're just going from strength to strength. Hence, then I will give it a 7.
7.
You need to
7.
see this in the metal. You really do. That
Right.
mother
Okay.
of pearl
Okay.
is so different. Love it. Absolutely love
Cool.
it.
Well, Nick, you can't vote for your own supply, so Leslie, it's over to you.
Oh Christ! So I have a 2, a 6, and a 7 left here.
Mhm.
Look, it's never going to be my watch of the year. I don't dislike it, but I don't think it's a 6 or a 7. So I'm going to. It's fine. It's not my favorite color of pink. Yeah, it's fine. The blue is nicer actually. I think I prefer the blue. Interesting that that was mentioned. I do like the onion crown. It's a decent movement. Oh, is there good watches to come? Rick, come on, tell us.
There is Phil, VR assistant to come, and
Right.
Ripley to come. So, judge of those characters,
Actually,
what
I
you think
trust
they
Ripley.
might
I'm
bring.
going
You
to go
trust
2. So
Ripley.
I'm going to go 2. Yeah, I'm going to go
Okay,
2.
it's
Yeah.
getting a 2. You're going to trust Ripley. Let's see whether that's going to be the sensible thing to have done. David gave this watch a 3. He is still posting in his votes from the world of WhatsApp. So I will stop sharing this and drum roll because I'm evil and twisted. The next watch up will be from Phil. So Phil,
Oh, okay.
your watch, I believe, is this the IWC Portuguese Eternal Calendar watch, accurate for 45 million years, despite the fact it will need service in 6 months' time because it will probably break. But
Well,
justify yourself.
Well, what can I say about this watch? I mean, I happen to know that some Seiko engineers has visited IWC that day. All the windows were closed and they were stuck in a canteen, and they could just see a great big saucepan full of eggs in it with egg timers all around it, and they thought, I know, we can use that to inspire us to make a watch.
This is the Seiko engineers.
The use by date on the egg box was 3 weeks time. They thought 3 weeks, that's not much. Let's make a use by date of 45 million years, or perhaps next time we have to change it in 6 months when the clocks go forwards or back, whichever one floats your boat. I mean, to be fair, in 45 million years, I'm not sure the moon will be where it
in the
is
same
now.
place.
I'm not sure the Earth will still be here. But there you go. It's ugly, it's expensive, it's very impractical, but it's a technical marvel. It really is. I actually went on a different podcast with Leslie, which I listened to.
There are different podcasts.
I couldn't possibly count how many wrists there are here, Rick, but there's probably more than 5. Let's just take it off. But it's got a boring strap. It's got a fantastically interesting movement. It's got an okay case. And for me, it's Schrodinger's watch. I love it and I hate it at the same time. 45 million years and stuff is nonsense. I'm being very polite because I know you don't like swearing on your shows. It's absolute nonsense. The oils will last 5 years. It will need servicing. 45 million years, yet it's got the year on it. So the year on it says 2024. Well, in 45 million years, they'll need another 6 digits or something in front of that 2024. So I'm not quite sure how they're going to do that.
Right, can I just be clear that you actually like this watch?
I do. I do, but I hate it as well.
Okay.
I really do. I think it's technologically, and I'm kind of into watch movements because I pull them apart and fiddle with them and make them worse normally. But it's an amazing piece of engineering. It really is. But it's overpriced and it's silly. But
overpriced and over here. Ripley, how are you voting?
I think I know I'm getting a 7 from Ripley, so that's a start.
Yeah, so it's a 7. I'm actually really happy that this ended up being the one that I had to give my 7 to. I was just worried it was going to be something, Phil would bring something absolutely dreadful, and that would be how it'd end for me. But I really like this watch. I almost picked it as my pick. Everything he said is true. It's in concept and execution and theory, it's absolutely stunning and mind-blowing and just a very impressive object. For my small wrists, it would be borderline unwearable. I couldn't sell all my organs and still have enough to purchase it. It'd be horribly impractical as a daily piece, and the trajectory of how long the intervals between setting it and servicing it, those two things are miles and miles apart. So they're, conceptually as a functional item, it's not like it doesn't have its problematic things, but this is about watchmaking and, coming up with either just downright fun and impressive things or creating overly complex solutions to problems no one has ever had. And this is exactly both those things. So top marks from me and well deserved.
Top marks, Simon. What have you got left? How are you voting?
Well, I've only got top marks or bottom marks, and unfortunately, can't get my top marks. So
it's getting a one.
Now,
getting a
it
one.
deserves, I'm gonna caveat this. It deserves more than a one. I mean, it's a pretty impressive piece of engineering. If you believe that it will do what they say it will do, but quite frankly, how do we know that it's going to do what they say it'll do? Nobody is ever going to be able to test this. It's kind of completely.
The same's true about anything. The deep sea, anything. That's the whole point. You just have to trust these brands.
And I feel exactly the same about that. I think somebody earlier said that it was like completely preposterous, and it is. It's like, yes, I get that it's a technical feat of engineering theory to be able to create something that can do what this watch will do, but it's completely unnecessary. It's very, very expensive. It's not particularly attractive. It's huge. Do I really care that it can do what they say it can do? I'm not really sure I do.
Not sure that it does do what it says it can do. So it gets a one, Azad. What of your numbers does it get?
I love this. It would have been my second choice. For me, probably one of the winners from Watches and Wonders. So I'm going to give it my top mark, 7.
It's getting your 7 from Azad. Kevin, tell us all about this.
It's a great piece, a concept piece. As everybody says, how do you know it's going to work? I mean, is it accurate? Is it METAS or cost certified? I mean, that's more important than whether or not it's going to last to the year 4000 BC for me, anyway. It's slightly too big, and how much is this? 45 grand, is it, or is it more? No, it's more, much more, isn't it? It's
and the rest. 150
and the rest.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I'll just check that out.
That's stainless steel.
That's almost a week's wages for our reserve goalkeeper.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
£155,000
for stainless steel.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
no,
God.
platinum.
I was going to. Is it platinum?
Is it platinum?
It's platinum, and it's $155,000, so probably a bit less for you over there in the UK.
Okay. So it's there are. What can I say? It's not in my wheelhouse because I'm going to be dead before I make use out of it. So it's going to get a. Oh God.
Kevin, we'll all be dead. The planet will be dead. 45 million years.
So you got a 1 or a 4, I think. Is what you've got left.
Oh
Where we're
God.
going at the moment, the planet will be dead by the time my Seiko gets to its service interval.
Probably, yeah.
3 weeks on Tuesday.
Oh God. Sorry, Ripley. It's a 4.
It's a 4 for Kevin. Nick, thoughts, feelings, emotions on this watch?
I've got a 6 and a 7 left, but I would have given it a high score anyway. But I'm going to hedge my bets on the next one, so I'm going to give it a 6. I've never been a big fan of the Portuguese, or I think it wears too large for the kind of style of looking watch that it is. But I think this watch is the best example of showcasing mechanical movements and watches, and just how complicated and superfluous and completely unnecessary they are. It's why we like them. It's a completely outdated and unnecessary technology, but because it can be done and it has been done, it gets a good score from me.
Good stuff. We're getting to the final review of what Ripley is and therefore what scores you've all given it. And you're going to have to justify your score. So you're going to have to back yourself on the score that you're left with for the watch that Ripley's bringing you all in a few moments. But Leslie, you've got a vote first.
Yeah, so I trust Ripley, but maybe not 7. So I'm going to give this my 7. It's gorgeous. I'd completely forgotten about this. But look, you're going to give me 6. That's pretty good, you know. Yeah, because I do trust you that much, just not 100%. You know. No, look, it's stunning. And then, look, if you're going to go watch of the year, it should be something audacious. It should be something dramatic and exciting, and you know. Yeah, look, it's very, very interesting what they did there. I completely forgot about this one.
Good stuff. Right. David gave this. Let me just see. Could I've swapped these round? IWC. David gave it a 4, which is correct. He had a 4 left, which means he has given the final watch a 7. But the question you're all asking is, what is Ripley's watch of the year? And this is Ripley's watch of the year. And you're going to have to justify the scores you've awarded it for the Hublot Spirit of Big Bang Sang Blue Sapphire watch. So first up, Phil.
Yes.
You have given it a 1, I believe.
I don't even get to tell you why it's awesome.
Okay, tell us.
Is it just
tell us why
implied?
it's awesome.
Is it just implied?
Implied awesomeness?
Go on,
Tell us, Ripley. Tell us, Ripley.
Okay. Up until this point, you all have shown watches, very lovely watches, but wristwatches, identifiable as a wristwatch. This is not a normal wristwatch. I'm not quite sure how to read it without taking a serious moment of focus. It is a giant block of sapphire, and let's be real. It's a, I approach it from the mentality rather than something we could actually buy or actually want to buy. But if you just put any of the watches that were released this year on a table, said you can take one, it won't cost you anything, you couldn't sell it, but you'd have to keep it. I would just love to have something absolutely ridiculous like this that I'd otherwise never purchased, that really just sort of pushes the boundaries from a aesthetic perspective and materials perspective. It's just a massive brick of faceted sapphire, and it's bizarre and entirely irreverent and beautiful at the same time.
Just a block of awesomeness from Hublot. Phil, you gave it a 1.
I give
Do
it
you
a 1.
regret?
I'm really relieved because for 2 reasons. 2 reasons. I tell you. 1, I thought you were going to go with the Traking Thinking, because I was so close to making that my number 1 watch.
Right. Okay.
So I would have had to kick myself for giving that a 1. And secondly, because this is probably the closest to when I told my son, my 13-year-old, I was doing this, he said to me, "Why don't you pick the Darth Vader Lego Star Wars watch that's made of Lego?" So it's an actual Lego watch. And I was close, but I did point out to him it didn't come out this year, so it would be cheating. And this, I think, is the closest to a Lego watch you can get. Hublot as a brand, I think, are just ridiculous. And this is particularly ridiculous even for Hublot. I just have no idea what Hublot's about. But I've never held one, never seen one, never worn one. So, who knows? When I see one and wear one, I may change my mind, but I very much doubt it.
I think a group outing to the Hublot Boutique is called for. Simon, have you now learned how to play this game? Because you have given this watch a 7.
Well, actually, I just need to modify my number a second. Hang on. Just do a little bit of slight modification here.
700. Minus 7 from Simon. Good stuff.
Yeah.
So what do you think of this? What would you have given it if chance had allowed?
Yeah. Sorry, Ripley, I hate this. I kind of love the whole no, I don't love the execution. I love the concept of all the sapphire and the facets and things, but I think the execution is just god awful. And you know what? And this is coming from someone who actually really likes some of the stuff that Hublot have been doing over the last few years. But this one, no, doesn't do it for me. So yeah, I've learned a big and nasty lesson, unfortunately.
Big and nasty lesson. Azad, you have learnt maybe a middle of the road average lesson, as you've given it a 3. if this is nothing if it's not an average middle of the road watch. What would you have voted
Yeah.
given a chance?
I think a 3 is actually about right, just because I have to respect the engineering that's gone into making that case. Obviously, it's a real challenge to put something like that together. The final aesthetic is disgusting, but I still have to give some kudos for the the engineers that actually managed to put it together. Let's get rid of the designers, but the engineers obviously done a good job. So
All of you calling it disgusting, let's be honest, if it was offered to you, you would be happy to own this. Maybe not wear it often, but be happy to own it and show it to your friends and gawk at the audacity of this creation.
I know that Phil's going to the 5th Risk meetup. He's going to those events and he's bollering this watch for sure, 100%, with his Arsenal Championship flag. Sorry, Premiership flag.
That's one left for a few years.
There you go, Phil. If that's your choice, Arsenal to win the league this year, but you have to wear this for the rest of your natural life. One watch collection.
We'll win the league next year.
Good answer. Kevin, you as confident as Phil that you'll win the league next year? Would you wear this watch? You've given it a 1.
I've given it a 1, yes, but he doesn't deserve a 1. I'm with Ripley. It's balls out mad. It's totally different. And yeah, if you've got the wrist presence, you want the wrist presence, that's certainly a talking point. If you had that on your wrist, I'm not sure about that strap though. It looks really, really cheap and nasty.
Shonky.
It does. It really does. I mean, how much is this anyway? Not that I'm interested in purchasing one, but it's something which I know they do limited edition, so it'd be interesting to know how many they expect to sell, or i.e. made to order, because I'm sure it's going to take a while for people to purchase this.
140. Yeah. There you go.
£143,000. I don't think it's a limited edition, is it?
No.
I think as many as you want to order are available.
Really? Wow.
I think. But I might be wrong.
That's brave. That is brave. So you got that or the IWC, which is a similar price. I know which one I would choose. But anyway, one good effort from Hublot. Want to take things totally different, and I love their concepts. Some of them are really good. Some of them failed miserably. This one's sort of in between, but it's a shame I've only got one left.
So there we go. It's a shame. Nick, did you play this game properly? You have given this a 7?
No, not at all.
You learned your lesson.
Yeah. No, I was kind of holding back the 7.
Never trust Ripley. That's the motto of this game.
No, I was holding back the 7 on the hope that one of my sort of other picks might come out, but it didn't. Yeah, I mean, what people have said before. I mean, it is bonkers. I wouldn't say it was that bonkers for Hublot. Like, it's fairly, it's a watch of their kind of style. But yeah, I mean, I don't dislike Hublot as much as other people like to, tarnish them. But yeah, their casework is pretty good. Yeah, with ceramic and things like that, and this sapphire case is pretty cool. I think the movement's quite good on it as well. Actually, on this one, is it? There's a high beat, I think. But yeah, it's wouldn't be getting a 7, but yeah, that's all I've got.
That's all you've got. Leslie, are you pleased to have left your 6 to the end?
It says limited edition on it, doesn't it? I mean, it actually says it? Yeah, look.
Oh, I didn't notice.
Look under the yeah. See there.
Look through the crystal.
No, go back. No, go back. Go back.
Oh, does it say it somewhere else? Is it?
Go back. One more.
Okay, one more.
So I should include this. Rick texted me last night. I got the message when I got off the plane after a very, very long day of travel. And he said, I say, send me your pick for this game. I scroll up to see what the game was. I'm like, okay. I'm like, oh, you know what? I quite like to have this. You've had a bit to drink. You're a bit tired. This is fantastic. This is. I'm sure there might have been something. I'm thinking of the Longo. There's that lovely honey gold Longo with Lumen that came out at Watches and Wonders. I'm thinking of some of the other ones that didn't surface throughout this game. But I still stand by my pick. This thing is fantastic.
The
You're saying this is
destination
the
where
ultimate.
you were must have had an impact. Were you from Vegas? Were you from coming back from Vegas or
Prague,
Miami?
but Prague. It was a
Prague.
long
Columbia,
flight.
Columbia,
I
I
had
reckon.
some wine.
Yeah,
You know, it was,
Colombia? Yeah.
Plenty of time to drink wine and lots of alcohol on the flight, which obviously influenced your choice.
There we go. The ultimate drunk purchase of a watch.
Yeah.
David gave it a 7, and he told me he is pleased. It does say limited edition there. Yep, I can see it just on the side.
Yeah, on the side.
David is pleased to have left this until the very end because he says he would have given it a 7 from the
So
beginning.
you can trust Ripley, but not completely. This is my conclusion.
this is probably a lesson for life. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? We'll see when we play this game again whether folk have cottoned on to just where people go when we do this, maybe in a month's time, for just reviewing the releases from that month. So the scores on the doors.
Rick,
My
before you give the
VR
scores, before we give the scores, are you able to bring 2 images up on the screen at the same time?
Ooh, probably not. But well, tell me what 2 images,
does that-
and I'll see.
The more I look at that Hublot, it reminds me so much of the watch that David reviewed from Sega Design, the Eye of Horus, I think it's called. And I'm wondering if that's where David's coming from with this.
The Sega. I can certainly get the Sega Design up if I can find it. If you give us 2 seconds.
I'm sure the hands and the rotor on the back of it are almost the same.
It's around here somewhere. We'll let Phil talk. We'll make Phil the official timekeeper of the reading. Sega Design mechanical watch. Is it? Do we mean the Eye of Horus? This is this watch. Hold on a second. Yes, thank you, Azad, for the fact that you've managed to find this quicker than I have. But we both got there in the end. This particular one. Do we think it's just that David likes these kind of things? If you were to put diamonds on it, he'd probably give it a 14.
I mean, this is the opposite end of the
So
price.
Simon, in what way? In what way does this look like the Sapphire Hublot?
Can we zoom into the hands? Maybe I'm remembering this, recalling it wrong, but I thought that the hands reminded me straight of this.
Straight away of it. There we go. There's the hands there of.
Yeah, you see, there's something of it. There's something of it there. Look.
Of the Hublot. Let me just. I can't.
There's
show
something
both
with
at
the
same time. No,
triangle.
That's not bad. There are triangles and there are triangles
exactly.
involved. So then there's some
You know, if
triangles.
you squint and
I can only imagine Sega was inspired by Hublot on this one, given that they've been doing that for the other Sang Blues.
If you're coming back from a stag weekend in Prague, then yes, I can see the similarities on this. Right, the scores on the doors. Phil will VR check that I have added this up. In bottom place, and I fear not benefiting from the fact that he was the first one to go, was David with his choice. That it was that long ago. I can't even remember what it was. It was the Tudor, the pink Tudor Black Bay on 16, followed by Simon with his Christopher Ward skeletonized numbers. And then that was on 22. Then next up on 26 was the Chapek from Leslie. Or I need to screw these out as I go along because I'm already confusing myself. Then it was the AP from Kevin on 28. From Azad, it was the unpronounceable watch from the 1980s table of many boardrooms on 32, which was equal 30 on 32 with Ripley's Hublot. And then drum roll in second place. It was between Nick and Phil, and second place it was. Why have I got that written? Have I done that wrong? No, I haven't. Oh no, it's because I swapped the positions. I've got written down here that Phil presented the Hublot, but he didn't. He presented the IWC, finished in second place on 36, which means the watch of the year so far, as presented by Nick, is the pink-ish watch from Fears. How do we all feel about that in the chat? Do you think that was a deserved watch? Do let us know. Right, we're going to finish up soon, but it's the bit that actually everyone's probably been waiting for. which is what are the worst watches? Because, the world likes a bit more negativity than it does positivity. So very quickly, how we're going to do this is I'm going to display a watch, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me just check I've numbered this right. 4, 5. There. So there's 8 watches here. David is gone. So if you like, there's a joker in the pack. Okay, so there'll be one that gets away. And as soon as you see a watch in this selection that you think you can justify as being a good watch rather than a bad watch, then you have to claim this, and you've got 20 seconds to defend the indefensible of these picks as the worst watch of the year. So, and someone might get a chance to have 2 goes. So first up, and this was actually David's worst watch of the year. Would somebody like to defend this? This is the Creedor Locomotive watch by Gerald Genta, revived for the brand's 50th anniversary. It's like musical chairs. You don't want to be left not defending anything at the end. Who would like to give this some defense in the live or in the chat?
Lord, no.
Lord, no from Phil.
Almost the one I picked.
Either that or I'll just make somebody, because I'll just do it in reverse order of who came first and who came last. So if there's no defenders for this, then that means our joker is gone, which means that the person that finished second last, which is Simon, is going to have to defend this next watch, which also happens to be, and it may not be the first time that this brand features on this. It is this. And this was Phil's nomination. Simon, defend the Bremont times Bamford Aurora watch as not being the worst watch of the year so far.
Okay. As not being the worst watch of the year so far.
Yes.
Well, the Credo was pretty bad. I mean, yeah. Okay. It's green. I quite like greener watches.
Quite like green. That does it.
Especially like luminous green.
Where did Patrick's Day?
St. Patrick's Day. There you go. It's a St. Patrick's Day watch. There we go. That sounds like a simple explanation. Okay,
no, I
right.
think I can give another defense of this. Actually, it's a Bremont that was produced before Bremont lost their minds.
Yeah. Good. A good answer. Okay, so that's the Bremont. Right. The person who finished next last was Leslie. Leslie, you're going to have to defend this watch as part of your punishment. The Seamaster Regatta Timer.
It's got all the buttons. Look at all the buttons. The buttons are amazing. Just think of you're stuck in a broken down tube or on a bus somewhere, and you need something to do, and your phone is run out of charge. You can push all those buttons. It's fantastic.
But you can't tell the time.
Well, you don't need to, because you don't want to be reminded of the time because you're stuck in the bus. You don't want to be reminded about how long you've been there. So you're just going to use this to pass the time. It would be fantastic. And you can move the buttons, and look, there's a red one as well as all the blue ones. Yeah.
There's red ones, blue ones, and green ones. It's all.
Don't press the red one. You never, you can kind of challenge the passengers. Should I press the red button? Should I press the red button? And they'll go. Get them to vote. There's
one photograph of this watch where you just cannot tell the time. I don't know which. What's on the website?
Well, only one photograph.
I was going to say. I suspect there's more than one. To be fair,
I think it's that one there, the luminous one. You just can't tell because of the. What time is it? Is it 3:15? Or...
3:15, yeah.
It's 38 minutes past midnight. No, it's not. It's 38 minutes and 26 seconds past midnight, surely.
It's just ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous.
Sorry. There we go. Well, Kevin, you're next up. So you have to defend this particular indefensible, which was actually Simon's vote, which was also the watch he voted as being the best watch of the year, which is the titanium skeleton Christopher Ward. So why does this watch deserve to be saved from room 101?
Well, obviously it's based on the 12 from Christopher Ward, which has done phenomenally well, and it's going to win amazing awards coming up. this skeletonized version is the next iteration of the design language going forward, and using the material titanium, grade 5. It's a fantastic piece and worth every pound of the £4,000 it's what it costs.
Yeah, lots of money. Yeah, you didn't really do a very good defense with it. I don't think I'm not. You're not convincing me. You're not
No.
convincing me as one of those. Maybe that's why Christopher Ward don't sell in AD, so they don't need to be persuaded by people to buy things that they don't really believe in what they're selling. You would not do that job well. Let's see if Azad would do a better job of selling this. I can't quite remember whose watch this was. Let me just check that it wasn't, in fact, Azad's. No, it's not. I think this was Leslie's. Defend the very big, the very silly, and the very gold Rolex Deep Sea. Why is this not the worst watch of the year? Rescue it from room 101.
I mean, it's quite simple. The price of gold's going up. World War III is coming. You will be able to get your money back, at least. So just melt it down.
I think that's probably the most defensible thing we've heard so far about any of these watches. Congratulations. That then leaves us, there's not many left, but you were tied equal with Ripley. Ripley, let's have you defend. Where's it gone? Because there's two of these left. Let's have you defend this, which was Azad's vote, and part of Azad's explanation of it was that he felt it completely failed its marketing brief, which was it was about rescuing rhinos. It felt more like it was being advertised to people who would want to go out and shoot rhinos.
Yeah.
So defend the Hublot. You nominated a Hublot. Tell me why this shouldn't be in room 101.
Well, okay. They're donating money to the people who saved the rhinos, so there's just going to be objectively less of them out there for people to shoot in the first place. It's also far more practical to own than a rhino. So if you really wanted to own a rhino, rather than going out and killing one and having to deal with the carcass and that on your conscience and just sort of killing this majestic creature, you can now wear a tourbillon equipped Hublot with a like a 5-day power reserve and a skeletonized movement and a sapphire dial gray ceramic case with a gray camo strap, very trendy, instead of killing that rhino, and still let people know that you have the funds to be a exotic poacher yet and love rhinos, but didn't feel the need to kill a rhino, and instead you purchase this watch that actually saves rhinos. You are the benevolent sort of person who spends 6 figures on something rhino related. So, I mean, this is a fantastic timepiece.
Excellent. Well defended. Well defended. Let's see. Who do we have left? I think we have our final two. This has proved a lot more complicated for me to score out the stuff as I go along than I thought. But there we go. I think it's Phil up next. Now I've got a choice, I think, of 2 watches left for defense, or maybe 3. I think I'm a watch missing, but never mind. Phil, I think I'm going to have you defend. Oh, I think it'd only be fair to have you defend this, seeing as they're local to you. The Bremont Terra Nova dual time tourbillon watch. On the count of 3, why is this not the worst watch of the year and deserves to be rescued from room 101?
Well, this certainly isn't the worst watch of the year. There have been far worse watches. This is probably one of the greatest watches that's ever been made. Look at that black. It sucks your soul into it. The tourbillon draws your eyes. The numerals are in order around the dial, which helps you to tell the time very accurately. And there are pointy sticks that go round the dial and point to the right numerals so that you can accurately tell the time, should you so choose. What more do you want from a timepiece?
It truly sounds like the perfect watch. I'm utterly convinced. Utterly convinced. Okay, that leaves 1 left to go, although I think I've maybe missed out a watch here. But so whoever's not seen their nomination can shout at me in a wee minute. But we have 1 left, which is Nick. And as the winner, you get to defend this particular quite recent monstrosity, which is the Nomos Tangente 2-date watch. Because who needs to tell the date once when you can tell it twice? Nick, why is this the greatest watch of all time?
This was actually the watch that I voted for.
That would explain why my numbers on my bit of paper are not adding up. So,
But I will defend it.
defend it.
Like in Nomus's statement when they released this, you've got your normal date window, but then you've also got their own kind of pointer date functionality, because if you look at that photo of the 5th date, like you don't really know how far into the month you are, and how many days are left. Whereas if you see
That's not how
with the
numbers
pointer
work.
date, when you see with the pointer date, you know how much longer you've got left of the month. So very, very practical. It's a beautiful, thin, modern dress watch.
That
And the
tells you
movement's
the
very
date
nice.
twice. Yeah,
Yeah,
who
and tells the
doesn't need
date
it?
twice. So you're never
I
going to
think
forget it.
what they missed out was putting the date on the back, so that when you were looking at the really
Good
nice
point.
movement, you could also see the date. So there we
Yeah.
go. Right, can somebody confess if I've missed somebody's watch out that they nominated? No, did I get everybody? David leaving has confused my really sophisticated bit of paper that I've been
I
recording.
think
all
it's
of
because
this
you
on.
had David not defend his own watch.
Yes, so that's fine. So there we go. Good
Oh,
stuff.
shame to see
Well,
no one there defend the Trump watch.
yeah, well, yeah, okay. So on the count, no, I will not go. We'll not go the Trump. I've already been getting hate mail about the Trump, about the commentary on the Trump watch from our show this week. But we'll deal with that
see
next
one
week.
of them. Until I see them out in the wild, I'm going to assume it's something that only exists in the realm of Photoshop renders and a financial scheme. So
Of pyramid schemes everywhere. Although technically, I suppose that's not actually a pyramid scheme. It's just a con. But there we go. Right, gentlemen, thank you all very much for playing our game. I hope that to those of you watching that also joined in, this made some degree of sense. We will adjourn to decide whether we're going to do it all again next month as a regular feature if it's worked. I think it's probably worked reasonably well, considering most of you only learnt the rules 20 seconds before we went on air. But thank you all very much for joining in. Any final comments? Any regrets or hopes for what's to come, or regrets over how you voted in this particular show? Closing statements, anybody?
Regrets,
Nope,
I have
nope.
a few.
I just hope there are a lot better watches coming out at the end of the year.
Do we
Yeah.
think there is? Do we think we're at a low point, higher or lower going forward the year? A quick bit of Brucey plays price. What was that game with the up down the cards? That wasn't
Play your
Price is
cards
Right.
right.
Play your cards right. So Phil, later in the year, higher or lower?
For this year, I'd imagine lower. There's not much to find out.
Not much else to come. Simon, is the year going to get better or worse? Higher or lower?
I don't know. I don't really think we're going to see any more releases, are we, this year? Or nothing too interesting.
Nothing shocking. Azad, expecting
Well,
any?
how many days are left this year? We will have at least that many number of Seiko releases, so there's
That's a
definitely more
really
stuff
good
still
point.
coming.
How many
There's
hours?
always time for guess the price of the Seiko, but we're going to do. We've been talking, like Phil will know this from Alex at Fifth Wrist, talking about doing the world's longest watch podcast. I think it's just about the Seiko catalog. I think that's just how we do it. We just play an eternal game of guess the price of the Seiko. Anyone else got any hopes, fears, higher, lower in the year? General feelings?
I think it's going to be higher. I've just received an email about a new release from in green ceramic, limited to 250. That looks like a very, very cool piece. I won't say the brand.
The green ceramic 250. You're talking about the Bremen, are you?
I am indeed. That's a wonderful piece.
That's gonna. As soon as you hit that against something, it's gonna fragment into
my
million
worst
pieces.
watch of the year.
Good stuff. Right. Well, thank you, gents. Thank you very much for contributing. Oh, hello to SoCal Watch Reviews. Good to see you checking in there. And that's it. So it's goodbye from me, and it's goodbye from all of them. We've cheerio. Bye.
Bye, all.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Hey, everyone.